G'day everyone, Brian here. Do you remember your school days? Kids have gone back to school today or yesterday, and that for some of us will be provoking some memories of our own school days. Do you remember those days at school where the teacher was explaining something and you had no idea what they were talking about, but you didn't want to ask any questions either? I did pretty well at school until year 10 maths, when we started dealing with parabolas. And I lost it. I didn't have a clue. And I didn't want to ask, so I never really caught up from there. I'd like to go back to my teenage self and say, ask a question. Nobody will mind. When Jesus was with his disciples, coming through Galilee now, and not wanting anybody else to know where he was, not because he was being secretive, but because he was teaching his disciples. And as we've seen, when he's had those times when he has tried to be alone with his disciples, there's crowds of people who have gathered around him. And so this one, he's keeping quiet. And what is he teaching them? Well, this is what the Bible tells us. The Son of Man is going to be betrayed into the hands of men. They will kill him, and after 3 days he will rise. But they didn't get it. They did not understand what he meant and were afraid to ask about it. I used to be a youth leader in our denomination, and it was one of my great things to allow children and teenagers the space to ask questions. We've got to do it. We've just got to allow people to ask the questions that they have. And if there's something about Christian faith that people don't understand, there must be a place where they can ask those questions. There are plenty of those places, online in particular, but I'm hoping that you at your church have a place to ask those questions if you're at a church. If you're not at a church and you have those questions, then I'd invite you to Heathmont Presbyterian Church. I'd invite you to leave your questions here so that we might help to answer those questions. For the disciples, the concept that Jesus was talking about was too much for their brains to take in, and I don't blame them for that. I also appreciate that some of the concepts of Christianity just seem too old, too weird, just too foreign for us to get hold of. But there is an answer. So don't be afraid to ask the questions. Christianity is a robust faith. It can stand up to your questions. If you have them, ask them. Imagine being able to ask Jesus a question and missing out on that opportunity. Those disciples missed something. I hope you won't. Have a great weekend. I'll look forward to seeing you next week. And look out for the Heathmont Presbyterian Church service on YouTube on Sunday morning. We'll be live, God willing, and you'll be able to join us there. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.